This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. And in today's show, I will speak with Tom Adam. He is Iowa Soybean Association Director for District Number 9, and we're going to talk about soy meal being used in aquaculture as a fish food. We will also have a check of the ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined now by Robin Schmahl from agmarket.net with our closing analysis. Robin, the weather getting a little bit crazy outside here in the upper Midwest. What did we see on the grain markets today?
Well, and part of that has to do also with some of the pressure on wheat, I think, more moisture coming into some of the dry areas. So when we look at the weather like that, it's detrimental to movement of cattle, hogs, goods and services, stuff like that. But it's all a benefit to the soil conditions as well. So we did see some pressure on the grains across the board. Wheat seeing most of the pressure, some of that because of Russian supplies becoming available to the market, not our markets per se, but somewhere in the world. And just that what took the brunt of the selling today. Corn and soybeans, that's, we're looking again. It's kind of a normal thing. We're looking at the South American crop being harvested, coming closer to being more available to the market. So it did see a setback today. Nothing as specifically dramatic that took place in there. Now, corn and soybeans in the central and southern Argentina, they're going to experience some drier and hotter weather over the next 14 days. So that should have been a little bit more supportive to the market, but looking at supplies coming on board, I think was kind of the offsetting position. Now, Ukraine is also seeking another one-year extension to the Black Sea deal. They're talking with the United Nations and Turkey to extend that for another year, and they want to look at adding a few more ports to that as well so they can actually ship some more grain out. So that's maybe a little, it's positive to the world, but it's a little negative maybe for some demand. Now, we are seeing U.S. taking a little less of a share to overall world demand anyway when we look at historical charts, but nevertheless, we are running on a supply-demand situation. The other thing is that the train derailment that we had in Ohio, they closed a popular shipping lane for a lot of grain shipments through that area. And Cincinnati closed the Ohio River water intake as a precaution. They don't know how the water situation is there, but so that will be temporary closed. So that could have been also psychologically put a little bit more pressure onto the markets as well. So we did see a little bit negative down day today based on putting some of these things together, and just not a lot to really trigger any buying interest in the market.
On the other side of the ag marketplace, what did we see in the livestock markets today?
Well, livestock, we saw February live cattle make another new contract high. That seems to be a broken record. Now, there was a little bit of light trade that took place yesterday afternoon late in Nebraska at 160 to 161. That was steady to $1 higher. A little unusual to see trade take place that early, but I guess there was some that needed to be moved, but it wasn't a lot, so it wasn't a real good representation of the market. Now, box beef today at midday was up $1.42. For choice, and select was up 205. Now, box beef has really been strong lately. So after being struggling the first part of the year, we really started to see some real strength in the box beef prices. So that's what's driving that market. We're looking at higher cash this week again. And then we have a cattle on feed report coming out on Friday. Now, the estimates for the cattle on feed report are on feed at 96.1%, placements at 97.2%, and marketings at 104. That's the average estimate right now. Now, on the hog side, hogs were struggling today, giving back about half of what they gained yesterday on a banner day yesterday. And we saw a lot of fluctuation in cutout values so far this week. Cash has been stronger, starting right away on Monday and yesterday. And cutouts have been all over the place. Monday's cutout print, even though the markets weren't open, they still put a print out. Cutouts were up 563. Yesterday they fell 471. And now at midday today, they're up 318. That's going to be key as far as if we can maintain some gain there in the cutouts, that we might see some further support under this hog market.
Thank you as always, Robin. Fighting through a cold today. We really appreciate your time. And before we let you go, not snowing here yet in Des Moines. We've gotten just a little bit of some light rain. What's it looking like there in Wisconsin today?
Yeah, we got a couple of bouts of it already. It's pretty slippery outside. We've got about 4 inches on the ground, expecting, I guess they're expecting close to a foot here when it's all said and done.
Robin, thanks for the time. As always, have a great day.
Thank you, and it's always a pleasure being on with you.
Thank you, as always, to Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net with our closing analysis. Let's turn our attention now to the closing numbers, courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart.
March corn is down 6.5 at $6.74 even. New crop December corn down 4.5 at $5.92 even. March soybeans down 9.25 at $15.39.5. New crop November soybeans down 3.5 at $13.95.5. May soybean meal down $4.10 at $4.77.50. May soybean oil up 10 cents at $63.05. Chicago wheat down 12.75 at $7.50 even. Minneapolis wheat down 9.75 at $9.09 even. Kansas hard red wheat down 24 even at $8.69.5. May oats down 3/4 cent at $3.45 1/4. On the Merc, April live cattle down 2 cents at $165.07. March feeder cattle up $1.10 at $187.97. April lean hogs down $2.55 at $86.55. April pork cutout down $1.20 at $93.55. February class 3 milk down 3 cents at $17.88.
And that's been a check of the Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association, and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, we will have the latest edition of Between the Pods. I will speak with Tom Adam. He is Iowa Soybean Association Director for District Number 9. This is AMPM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today, I speak with Tom Adam. He is Iowa Soybean Association Director for District Number 9, and it's our latest edition of Between the Pods. Today, we talk about soy meal being used in aquaculture as a fish food.
It's time to go between the pods with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network and the Iowa Soybean Association. For the next year, we will explore the ways Iowa-grown soybeans are making a difference at home and around the world. Now, here's your host of Between the Pods, Mark Magnuson.
Mark Magnuson with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm here with Tom Adam today for Between the Pods, and we're going to talk aquaculture. But first, Tom, could you tell me what your role is within the ISA?
I'm a district director for District 9 on the Iowa Soybean Board.
And where is District 9 in the state?
Southeast corner, about 10 counties down there, 12 counties.
And Tom, I wanted to talk about aquaculture with someone from the Iowa Soybean Association, and Brock Johnston, he turned me to you. He said, Tom's the guy to talk to.
Okay.
So where do we start with, Tom? Let's start with the actual need for different ways to feed fish in aquaculture, and that comes about because there is a shortage of fish feed, is what I understand. Is that a worldwide shortage? Is that a portion of the world that's short on that feed?
Worldwide, there's a shortage of fish meal, which is what fish commonly eat other fish. And so when you're feeding fish in a farm environment, you would want to feed them what they normally would eat. But there's not enough wild-caught bait fish that they use to create the fish meal with to supply the world, because the aquaculture is such a fast-growing food sector. It's the fastest-growing food sector in the world, and because of this tremendous growth, we need to find another food source for the fish that we feed. And soybean meal has the best amino acid profile for fish, and it's just the best supplement there is.
So, Tom, does this work out then very nicely as well as kind of from both angles? Because we know that with the increase in crush facilities and creating more opportunities for that soybean oil then to be turned into fuels and things like that, that we do have a lot of soybean meal. Is this a nice relationship then to be able to turn this around and make it something that can be beneficial for something like aquaculture?
Certainly it is, yes. We're not experiencing it just yet, but before long, with the growth in biofuels, we expect to have a glut of soybean meal in the market. And we would like to get a good market price for that to maximize the farmer's return on the soybean yield. And to do that, we just need to find new markets for it, new uses. And aquaculture is a great example. Something that not many people know is that people do know that China is the #1 pork producer in the world, and they're also the #1 aquaculture producer. But people don't know that they produce more tons of aquaculture seafood than they do pork, which is was kind of a shocker to me when I figured this out just recently.
I think that's news to me as well, and that is very interesting. Tom, so Iowa Soybean Association has kind of been ready to adapt this right from the get-go, it sounds like, in terms of showing some support behind it and helping with the research. Could you kind of tell us some of that background?
Yes, Auburn University came to us many years ago, before I was on the board, and wanted some funding for an in-pond raceway system they've developed. And we provided that funding, and it's a revolutionary way to produce fish at a higher volumes in the same amount of water, and it's very conducive to using soybean meal in their feed. So we funded that, and today there's over 5,000 of these in-pond raceways in China, and it's catching on in other parts of the world too, Southeast Asia. We recently funded one in Bangladesh where 70% of their waters there are fish to maximum capacity now for wild caught, or for any aquaculture production. But by using the in-pond raceway systems, they can triple the amount of production on a given pond.
And Tom, I believe there's an upcoming trip coming up to Asia that is going to be able to see some of these things in action. Are you going on that trip?
Yes.
What's that trip going to be about?
Yes, I'm going to Cambodia, and it's put on by the WISH, the World Initiative for Soy and Human Health, and they go to developing markets to show them how to use soybean meal, either in poultry production or fish production, pork, or just eating the raw soybeans or cooked soybeans. But a lot of what we're going to see is the aquaculture production in Cambodia.
So, Tom, is this the tip of the iceberg then for this avenue for Iowa soybeans to make their way to other parts of the world and through aquaculture? Is this an area that's only going to continue to grow?
Yes, it will continue to grow. It's already become commonplace in China and many parts of the world to use soybeans. We do a lot of research to get higher inclusion rates of soybean meal so that they can lower the amount of fish oil they need to put in the product. So the Soy Aquaculture Alliance is working in that regard to do research or fund research projects to come up with better diets.
Tom, I'm excited to have this conversation because I'm not sure the average person realizes that this is happening right now. Do you think
in your talks with people, do they realize that we can use soybean meal to feed fish and do it in this manner?
A lot of people aren't terribly surprised by it, but they don't realize what the market potential is, how many soybeans we can use in that. So yeah, it's definitely got a lot of growth potential.
So Tom, look into your crystal ball for me, please, real quick. What does this look like then for the future? Is it just something that's going to grow exponentially?
It's, like I say, seafood is the fastest growing food sector in the world, and it's expected to continue to grow. That's a very high pace for a long time to come. Americans eat less seafood than most of the rest of the world. We import over 90% of our seafood in this country. So we would like to get that down somewhat too, so we produce more in the United States.
Tom, is there anything else you'd like to let our viewers know about when it comes to maybe your upcoming trip or just what's happening with aquaculture in general and soybeans being put to that use?
It's just a tremendous growth potential for Iowa soybeans.
It's just another great way for Iowa farmers to see the potential, like you said, grow for the Iowa soybean. Tom, thank you so much for the time. He is Tom Adam joining us here today on Between the Pods. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you.
And that was Tom Adam, ISA Director for District 9. As for right now, let's take a look at the ag weather outlook. Well, we have a winter storm here, an unwanted guest in the state of Iowa today. The northern portion of the state, the upper third, receiving some snow, and the middle portion of the state, central Iowa, a little bit more of a wintry mix and ice. And that's going to continue into the evening hours tonight, more of that wintry mix possibility, maybe even some possibilities for freezing rain in eastern Iowa. And then tomorrow, things will be a little bit better for most of the state, although still some chances for snow and blowing snow in the northern portions of the state of Iowa. So let's turn our attention now to the National Weather Service and what the Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours.
As you can see from the National Weather Service, we have widespread winter weather across the state of Iowa today. A winter storm warning is in effect for northwest Iowa, wintry mix in central Iowa today, and a chance for a wintry mix and or freezing rain in eastern Iowa. Tonight, wintry mix and breezy. Rain and freezing rain chances in eastern Iowa. Tomorrow, chances for snow continue in northwest Iowa with partly to mostly cloudy skies and windy elsewhere. And taking a look at our affiliate weather map for tomorrow, Cherokee, a chance for snow along with patchy blowing snow and 15 degrees the expected high. Shenandoah, partly sunny and blustery with a high around 15. Des Moines, tomorrow partly sunny and windy with a high around 26. Albia, partly sunny and windy with a high around 29. Waterloo, mostly cloudy and windy with a high around 29. And Clinton, mostly cloudy and breezy with a high around 40.
For a more detailed forecast in your part of the state, make sure and check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook. That also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content, all of our daily news stories on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can find video content and previous episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. And don't forget our free twice daily market podcast, which are available at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.